Greetings builders, Daniel here and welcome to the second half of this video where I share with you 6 starter builds that after reading the patch notes, I know that will be amazing for you to start Crucible on a high note. If you missed the first half, don't worry, you can find a link in the video description. As mentioned on the previous video, since I don't have access to the new passive tree yet, there won't be a complete guide for those builds until next week. But if you're watching this after April 4th, feel free to find the links for the complete guides and the PoE in the video description. To start this video, I have a build that I can't believe survived the nerf hammer. I'm talking about the Venom Gyro Deadeye with the Ranger class. Venom Gyro is a very interesting skill which fires a projectile that hits enemies and returns to you, piercing and dealing damage to everything on its path. When the projectile successfully returns to you, you can keep and stack them up to 30 times and they will be released at once when you use the Whirling Blades movement skill. To list the pros of this build, I would not even know where to start. It comes with an amazing clear speed, boss damage and over 100,000 effective HP. Above all of that, it's cheap and easy to put together. It doesn't require any mandatory unique item. Now to list the cons is the real challenge here. It's hard to find something not to like on this build. However, I would say that as most builds, this one is also vulnerable to chaos damage, unless of course you invest on chaos resistance gear. As for budget, based on previous leaks, this build is very cheap. You can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 90 chaos. To comfortably advance to yellow maps you need to invest around 120 chaos, and for easily completing your atlas I recommend investing around 4 divines. For clear speed I'll give this build 10 out of 10. The Venom Gyro projectile already has an expensive nature for the amount of time it stays dealing damage on screen. Now, with a Deadeye that grants a lot of speed and many buffs to projectiles, the result is what you're seeing on this tier 16 gameplay. The boss damage is also a 10 out of 10. You can use Venom Gyro to instantly have 50 stacked projectiles and delete bosses with an amazing shotgun effect using Whirling Blades on them. It's just unreal and I can't believe it wasn't nerfed. For the survivability, I give it 9 out of 10. This build comes with over 100,000 effective HP because of high armor, high evasion, spell suppression and block chance. Following, we have the Poisonous Concoction Pathfinder with the Ranger class. The Pathfinder Ascendancy just got an awesome rework with some interesting buffs, and this build that was already an amazing starter just got better. Poisonous Concoction uses no weapons, instead it uses your life flash to inflict massive poisons on your enemies. To list the pros of this build, I would start with how simple it is to level up. It gets really strong, fast and safe with low investment, making it a perfect build for beginners. Now to list the cons, I would point that even though this is a cheap build, it can get expensive to activate all the auras. This is because you need an enlightened gem to do so, but don't worry, this is not mandatory at all. As for budget, you can get it destroying early endgame maps with only around 85 chaos. To comfortably advance to yellow maps, you need to invest around 120 chaos, and for easily completing your atlas I recommend investing around 4 divines, but you can totally do it with less. You need only one mandatory unique item for this build, the Devouring Diadem, which allows you to activate all auras and use your energy shield as mana. Even though this helmet is normally cheap, it might be expensive on the first days of a new league. Just need to follow the instructions on the complete guide and you'll be fine without it until the price drops. For clear speed I'll give it 9 out of 10. You're fast and throw many flasks that poison enemies and cause nearby ones to also get poisoned. It's a great clear speed and very satisfying to watch. The boss damage is great and deserves 9 out of 10. The projectiles can shotgun bosses for a lot of poison damage. For the survivability I'll give it 9 out of 10. This build comes with many defensive layers such as high armor, high evasion, spell suppression and 50% chance to block attacks and spells. All of that grant this build over 100,000 effective HP. Finally, we have a starter builds for those who love archers, the Toxic Rain Raider, also with the Ranger class. This build uses all the attack speed of Raider to deploy numerous spots that drain the life out of your enemies. To list the pros of this build, I would start with how easy this build is to put together. You don't need any mandatory unique item and the leveling is very simple. This build is great for beginners because you end up having great clear speed, boss damage and survivability with low investment. Now to list the cons, the main issue of this build is mana. Since we're dealing with a damage over time build, we cannot reach mana or life. Because of that issue, we need rare rings that reduce the mana cost of skills. As for budget, you can get it destroying early in-game maps with only around 100 chaos. To comfortably advance to yellow maps, you need to invest around 150 chaos, and for easily completing your atlas I recommend investing around 4 divines, but you can totally do it with less. For clear speed, this build gets 9 out of 10. As a raider, you already have a lot of movement and attack speed. Also, you only need to deploy the pods once and they will drain surrounding enemies, granting a smooth gameplay. The boss damage also gets 9 out of 10. Combining your strength with Toxic Rain totems, bosses just drown in countless pods. Even the biggest ones are going to melt like butter before your eyes. For the survivability, I'll give it 9 out of 10. This is because this build has high evasion, high armor and spell suppression. Above all, you can use Toxic Rain from a safe distance and its pods heavily slow down enemies. And that concludes our first 6 starter builds for Crucible. Please remember that before the league launches on April 7th, I'll still release 12 complete guides for Crucible starters, so stay tuned on the channel because in the next days, many useful stuff are to come. As always, I wish you guys an amazing Sunday and don't forget to keep building.